the Joy Perspective, the podcast where I share life's challenges, things I've learned through years of personal development, and help others shift their perspective and find their joy. I'm Lauren Valdez, and together we'll dive into how changing the way we think can unlock possibilities, spark creativity, and transform the everyday. Let's dive in. Welcome to today's episode, and it is about getting in the dunk tank. Yes, a literal, actual dunk tank. So I'm going to share with you guys this question that came my way about 2 weeks ago. And we had this big end of year celebration for our school, and there was a sign up sheet. And on it, I saw a slot for a dunk tank. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And lo and behold, I had a family who called me, and the mom goes, the girls really want to see you in the dunk tank. I'm like, immediately I said, okay, I'll do it. Now, part of the reason I said, okay, I'll do it is because I truly love my homeschool families. Like, I love growing with them. I love working with them. I love how hard the parents work to give their kiddos the best education, but also just how incredible my students are. And so I just thought of these two girls for a split second, and I was like, yep, I'll do it. And then I started to really think about, like, what? Why did I just agree to a dunk tank? First of all, in the craziest season for me, this is when we're gearing up for, just a lot. We're gearing up for a lot in work right now. End of school year, beginning of our first learning period, like just so much. And here I am, I'm going to climb into a dunk tank. And I had to do like a little bit of reflecting because I'm like, why did I agree to this so easily? And at first I chalked it up to like, for my students, like, duh, I'm a cool teacher, that's why. And the reality is, yes, I love my students, and it's not that big of a deal to me to climb into a dunk tank. And then the more and more I thought of it, the more prep I realized I have to pack extra clothes to go to work that day. I completely forgot a towel, so thank the Lord for good coworkers who gave me her towel. Don't worry, I'll get it back to you, girl. But I also started to realize that, like, in my life, I have taken a lot of risks that I feel a lot of people don't or won't. And I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I really feel like if I didn't jump into a social selling business in 2019, I wouldn't have gained the perspective, the confidence, the go-getterness. I mean, don't get me wrong. My whole life I have been a workhorse. That's just what I do. You know, it's part of my identity. I get that. But I feel like I gained so much through the first social selling business that I did that it really taught me, just do it. Do it. You know, I talked about this in, I think, one of my first or second podcasts, and it was like, just do it scared, or just do it scared, something like that. One of my coworkers has actually shared that quote with me a couple times. She's like, I just do what Lauren said. And I love that because it's true. Like, we hold ourselves back sometimes from things and opportunities. Now, getting into a dunk tank was not an opportunity that I necessarily wanted, but I wasn't going to hold myself back. I just said, yep, I'll do it. And then let me fast forward the story a little bit, you guys. Then comes Thursday, and I am there, and I'm watching other people get dunked, and I'm actually getting nervous. I'm like, oh goodness, what did I just do? But here comes a phone call, and they go, hey, where are you? I'm like, I'm walking out the door of like the barn area that I was in, and they're like, okay, I'll meet you. And there she was, and she goes, there's nobody for the dunk tank for 12:30. I know you're scheduled for 1:30. Will you take the 12:30 also? Split second. Also, I was like, yep, I'll do it. Because what else was I going to do? Was I going to have the line of students who were there disappointed because they had nobody? Now, my own students on my roster, they knew when I was going to be in the dunk tank. So most of them were coming to this end of year event a little bit later so that they could have the opportunity to dunk me and not be too burnt from being outside and being at this awesome day. So I felt a little bit guilty where I was like, oh, I'm not going to wait for my homeschool kiddos. But I'll be back in at 1:30, so it's fine. So I go, I change, I go into the dunk tank. It is a lot scarier, you guys. A lot scarier than you would, well, most of you probably know. It's scary. You're sitting up on that ledge and you have these kiddos who are chucking balls at this metal plate to knock you down. And every time they throw the ball, you're like, you're flinching, you're whatever. And I remember sitting up there and there was this, it was actually the first dunk that happened. There was this little girl, she was trying to throw it, and AJ goes, just come push it. So she walks up with the little girl and they push the thing and I go down. And you know what? I realized that sometimes joy lives on the other side of ridiculousness. I am sitting up on this little platform watching this little girl just light up, watching the students in the line just get so excited. And I was like, I don't know, I just sat in such a joyful, like, that's awesome. I got to bring this joy to them. And why? Because I have learned to step out of my comfort zone. Um, for the most part, there's still times where I'm like, maybe I'm not going to do that. But I'm constantly trying to push that comfort zone further and further and further. And that's why when this opportunity for the dunk tank came up, it was no questions asked. Yes, I'll do it. So this is not just a story about my dunk tank story. This is not just a story about me bringing joy to students' lives. This is a story about you. What dunk tank or what opportunity or what post or what is it that you haven't given yourself the opportunity or pushed yourself out of the comfort zone to achieve or to do? I'm not talking about getting up in a plane and jumping out of a plane and parachuting. I'm talking about sometimes it's the daily dunk tanks that we just need to push ourselves to get on and just do. Just do the dunk tank. You know, I know for me, in the last, I don't know, year and a half, and maybe losing my mom has also helped push me to the point where I get that life is just too short. Life is just too short. You never know. Um, you're never promised tomorrow. You never know what's going to happen. And we often live, I often live in a place where it's like, hey, I'll do that when, or I'll get to that when. And the reality is that when could not come. So I want you to think about what it is that you want to push yourself to go do. What dunk tank do you need to just go do? Because life is too short to sit on the sidelines dry. Life is too short to not get on that dunk tank. And you know what? Don't just do it once. Do it twice. I didn't have to do the dunk tank twice. I chose to do it because I knew it would bring joy to others. But I also thought, well, I'm already going to get wet in the dunk tank once. I might as well do it again. Joke's on me. I probably got dunked, you guys, 50 times. I am not kidding, 50 times that day. Oh, that's why my calves are so sore. Sorry, squirrel moment there. My calves, I've been running all month, and my calves were so sore yesterday when I went running and today. I'm like, I've been running all month. Why am I so sore? But it's from climbing up every time. Okay, back to you guys. What is it that you need to do and push yourself to do? What dunk tank do you need to climb up on and conquer? I started getting to this a minute ago and went in a different direction, but I want to circle back to this idea of in the last year and a half, I started to look at relationships and friendships and things a little different. And I've started to learn that, maybe not the last year and a half, maybe even longer than that, that hard conversations need to be had with the relationships that are worth it. And what I mean by that is, if there is something that is hindering a relationship or a friendship, you have to call it what it is. And you have to, if that person is worth it to you, you have to bring that person into a conversation. So one dunk tank that I've had to conquer is sitting down and having a hard conversation with a friend and speaking my mind, speaking my heart, speaking truth. Because although I wanted to avoid the conversation and I wanted to avoid the conflict, and truthfully, I wanted to avoid making the person feel bad because that was never what I wanted to do. But I also needed them to see it from my perspective. And I had to climb up on that dunk tank. And it took me a lot of courage. And it took me honestly bringing another friend in to be like, hey, will you do this with me? But there are friendships and relationships that are worth it. And I'm not going to lie, there are some that are not worth it. There are some hard conversations that I could have had that could have helped the relationship, but it didn't seem like that relationship was worth it to me. And that was a choice that I made. But I also want to share that making the choice to not have the hard conversation is also choosing to let that friendship go or to not allow it to grow. So that's an example of a dunk tank situation for me. What is it for you? And as I've been talking, there might have been 1, 2, maybe 3 different things that have popped up in your mind. And I don't want you to end this podcast and let those things go. I want you to marinate a little on those. I want you to really think about how you can push yourself to get the courage to get up on those dunk tanks. Courage doesn't always look like a big leap. Sometimes it looks like climbing into a dunk tank again and again and again. It may not be just one hard conversation with a friend. Maybe you have to have that conversation with them a few times. Or maybe it's not even a relationship that you're thinking of. Maybe it's posting. I know from a social selling business, sometimes I post things and I'm like, that probably looked dumb. Now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care if it looked dumb. In fact, you guys, the other day I posted something and I purposely held up this bottle of Radiant Mind gummies because I'm obsessed. And I made the ugliest crying face I could. And that is the still image that I used for the cover of my reel because I don't care if I look stupid. I'm going to share the things that I love and the things that work for me. And if somebody wants to judge me for that, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, go ahead. I'm going to be genuine. I'm going to do this. But not everybody has gotten to that point. And I know that and I get that. And that's why I'm on here sharing with you. Is it that you overthink posting on your social medias? Is it that you are afraid to share something? Think about why you're afraid to share it, but also push yourself. Climb up step by step onto that dunk tank. Push the button, post, and go on that dunk tank. Say yes, then figure it out. Laugh about it later. Get dunked. And the more that you do this, the more you're going to say yes in a split second. When they walk up to you and go, we got no one for the 12:30. Will you get in the dunk tank twice? Yes. Yes, I'll do it. I'm not saying you have to say yes to everything. There are a lot of things in my life I'm learning to say no to. I'm starting to learn, wish I would have learned this sooner, more boundaries on things. But then there's some things that are worth climbing up on that dunk tank, pushing myself, making it happen. So take some time, think about your dunk tanks, think about the ones that are worth it to you, and go do the dunk tank. Thank you for joining me today on The Joy Perspective. I hope this episode helped you shift your mindset and find a little bit more joy in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss one. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @meetlaurenvaldez for more inspiration and updates. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. Until next time, keep shifting your perspective and finding your joy.